Welcome to the Business Trendsetter podcast, where we talk about trends and how to use them to grow your business. My name is Manny Turan.
And I'm Adam Hartone.
We're Spark Partners. We're here every week to deliver insights on trends. We do this all the time. We love doing it. It's our passion. And we talk about all kinds of topics, right, Adam?
All the time, all kinds.
So, the trends in that we talk about the most, of course, are AI, the gig economy, asynchronous life in general, and mobility. But there's lots of other trends. There's hundreds out there, right? And we monitor many of them. And today we have a special guest. I'd like to introduce to you Jordan Shepley.
Hi.
Jordan is the CEO and founder of a company called the Headling Lounge. And I'm going to let Jordan talk about the concept. And then Adam and I can ask some questions and kind of go into the why is this interesting? Why is this a trend? And she's smart about going after this as it is a growing business, as a growing market. So start with that, Jordan. Tell us a little bit about the Headling Lounge.
Perfect. Thank you guys for letting me be here. At the Headling Lounge, we focus on catering functional beverages to all different types of events. We do networking events, birthday parties, weddings, any type of event, you name it, because everyone wants something yummy to drink, right? We've been founded this year. We really have been focusing on the need for healthier beverages. The health conscious movement is growing at a really rapid rate. And we know that people, I don't know anyone that doesn't like something yummy to drink. And I know I do personally. And so really being able to cater to the non-alcoholic crowd in specific, and just bring them really delicious drinks that they love, and that also help them feel good without the negative side effects of alcohol.
All right.
So I can't get my dry gin martini there?
You can get one without alcohol in it that'll taste just as yummy, if not yummier.
Okay. Where are you located?
In Chandler, Arizona.
Okay. All right. And how long have you been in business?
We're a new startup company, so within the last 6 months.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. So tell me, what was it you saw as the unmet need or the poorly met need? What was the open-ended, hey, there's something missing here that you saw? How did that come about, and what was it?
So when I turned 21 and started going out, obviously, I was drinking with my friends, and I noticed that, one, I didn't like that I wasn't fully in control of my person. Two, I would wake up severely hungover, no matter how much I really drank, whether it was 1 or 2 drinks or 5. I noticed how much it affected my mental health, my anxiety, just my overall quality of life. Even though I wasn't drinking often, I really saw the impact that it took. And then when I decided to stop drinking and really focus on my health, my mental health, physical health, emotional health, I realized that there were a lot of like-minded people out there that also wanted to do that, and people that don't drink also, for whatever their reason may be. And I noticed that still trying to go out with friends and just not drinking, that there really wasn't much available. I could get a Sprite, which, okay, great. You can get that anywhere. Or you could get, a juice, which is also great. But, I wanted something that was more fun, something that was more enjoyable. I love orange juice, but at the end of the day, I wanted something that was a lot better than that. And so the Headling Lounge was created so that way we could cater that to people and really be a part of the health conscious movement and the sober movement as well.
Okay.
So
sober movement. That's a new term for me, the sober movement.
Yeah. So there's some studies and of the growth of this particular market. I enjoy alcoholic beverages. I know you do as well, Adam. But there's a growing movement of folks that do not or want to look into a different lifestyle. I don't know if you're aware, but recently Bill Gates bought a pretty hefty amount of Heineken. He bought this rumored because he wants to look at how they can transform part of the Heineken business into the non-alcoholic space, because for him, he sees that as not only a growth opportunity, a growth area, but a way to expand his growth in general.
So Jordan, did you do any marketplace assessments, or was this more a reaction to your local market and what you saw?
There was a little bit of market research, but it was mainly what really sparked it was the local need for it. But then as I was doing research on, well, where is this available? LA and really, really big cities like that were the main source of it, especially LA and California. But overall, there was just such a big need, and we were looking at industry trends on how it's been growing from 2018, which is what really put it on the map, up until 2023, and we saw the rapid rate in 2021, or not in 2021, excuse me, in 2018. The industry was worth about 1.1 billion, and now it's worth projected by the end of this year to be 8 to 11 billion.
That's a healthy growth rate for sure.
Yeah.
And this is specific to the, and I hate to use the term mocktail, but that's specific to that, right? We're not counting Sprite and Capri Suns here. We're talking about specific to that market.
Correct. And even in 2018, there were only 4 non-alcoholic spirits on the market. And then by the end of 2018, there were 42. So and even now there's way more than that available, as well as companies, dip their toe into it and see what it's like and see where they can run with it. The quality's improving, and all things like that, which has been really incredible to be able to test so many different brands and vet out what we like quality and ingredient wise, which is just as important as taste to us, and see what also tastes really good, because there's some that don't taste very great, and there's some that taste really great and have really great ingredients that we love to bring on.
So do consumers of your product need to come to your location in Chandler, or do you have distribution?
So we do mobile catering services for it. So we can show up to someone's backyard, someone's place of work, some type of event space. We can really just cater to wherever people want us to go, which is really fun.
Okay. Now, how do you price the product? How does it? Give me your pricing model.
We've noticed that the non-alcoholic spirits are a similar pricing to alcoholic spirits, and so we really just price them very similarly. So,
all right. So if I was in your local market and I went to a bar, what would I expect to pay for a cocktail? And then how do you price? What's the price at this time? Realize inflation, things are going to change in the future. But tell me today, kind of what would in your local market a cocktail cost me at a regular normal bar, and what do you sell your product for?
So what I've noticed at bars, drinks, I feel like average around $8 to $12, and ours average probably 9 to 14, because we do use organic ingredients where possible, and we really focus on, healthier, higher quality ingredients, since health is just important to us as, the Sober Curious movement. So they are similar pricing. It's just maybe slightly more expensive just because of the quality of ingredients that we use. We keep us to a higher standard for that.
So tell me now, how does the health and wellness movement, which I understand that trend, how does that intersect with this sobriety trend, which is now new to me?
So they intersect a lot. They I feel like, coincide with each other, because usually people, with the Sober Curious movement, they are doing it more for health than for, maybe to be fully sober. So people are even just cutting their alcohol usage down, which can help with anxiety, depression. It can help with your liver, cancers, things like that. And so using the health movement as well, all of it's aligning with each other when you look at it from like a physical health and wellness perspective.
So the products you sell, are these products that are made on demand? Like when somebody orders something, you make it right then? Or is it something made in advance that you then serve? Or is there a combination of something's made in advance and then you do some things at the time of serving?
Currently, we all hand make them each time someone orders something. We really feel like that's the best way to ensure quality and the best taste, and also consistency within the drinks. I'm sure if we had to do a large event, 200, 300 people, we would maybe do maybe pre-made drinks, but we really like to stick to the handcrafting aspect of it, because we love using fresh ingredients. And so I feel like there's not a better way to do it than creating it fresh, especially because we use things like ginger ale or tonic water, soda water, and things like that. And so it's also keeping that carbonation aspect, which is such a big part of it as well.
Right. So I know you haven't been in business very long, but have you started to identify a customer segment that seems to really work well for you? Like, is it small businesses? Is it families doing family events? Do you have a segment, or is it, how are you thinking about your marketplace and the customers?
Honestly, we've noticed it from everybody. We've booked a couple baby showers, we've booked a team working event. We've really just kind of found that there's not like, oh, a set market from X age to X age. It's really anybody, because most people, over 50% of people, when they go out, are now looking for non-alcoholic options as well. And so it's really anyone, because anyone that likes a yummy drink that's not, water, like they're a potential client for us.
But I would say that isn't part of the way you approach your business, at least in the mocktail space, is part of the is almost ritualistic, right? You're not just handing somebody a drink. You're actually part of making it. There's umbrellas on there or whatever. There's stuff on the rim. So you're kind of making it more of an experience than just the product. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. We love using fresh fruit or dried fruits or umbrellas. We really want to help people not feel like, oh, I'm not drinking, I don't get to drink alcohol. And we really help show them that your drinks can be just as good. You can still feel really good and still feel included, because the biggest part for me, community is just as important as health and wellness in general. And going out, it's, oh, she doesn't drink, or, oh, are you going to be fun because you don't drink? And it's like, your drink can still be just as fun as you are, even without the negative side effects of alcohol.
How do you market? How do you find customers?
Currently through social media, word of mouth, doing sampling events for different companies and things like that.
Tell me how your sampling works. What, do you contact a company and come in with a sample, or do you go to a retail location like a shopping mall or a strip mall? What's that sampling process like?
We get in contact with different companies usually. We're also working with some local businesses to do some type of event. So whether it be a spa night or being able to do like a paint and sip, we really want to be able to find ways to integrate this into all areas where alcohol already is present. So that way people can either, maybe drink a little bit less if that's what they're looking for, enjoy something yummy. Maybe they work the next day, have to get up early, and want to have something really delicious and not wake up feeling hungover. And so we really just work to integrate it in any space where any alcohol is present.
Is your company offering any edibles to go along with the drinks?
Not currently. We eventually will be a restaurant space when we find the right space. We just need to find one with a beautiful patio, and then we will be hopping in there and getting ready to make food as well.
So, if you, what would you think you would need to be the perfect location for you to have your location to bring customers to you?
Um, Putting it in an area where we know that the local market is looking for things like that. Usually it's in higher class areas, because that's where we've noticed a lot more people are getting into like the health conscious and sober curious movements. Um, and so being able to have that ideal space for them to come into, and whether they're on their first date or their 10th date, or they're going to dinner with the girls or at a business dinner, whatever it is, we really look to be able to cater to anyone that needs it.
So, when you're making your investments over the next 6 months, do you think you'll be investing in option A, new cocktails, new product, option B, marketing for more events, or option C, trying to find a permanent location? Which of those do you think you're going to focus on in the next 6 months?
A and B, really to get out there, but also continue to grow our menu, because the industry is changing so rapidly and there's new brands coming out all the time, or even adding to their current line. And so we're about to try a couple more brands and see if they're ready to come on, and be up to our standards and taste that we're looking for.
Now, I have a little bit of personal experience with this. As if I don't know if you remember, Adam, I didn't drink the month of January. It's
Oh
kind of
yeah,
a
I
thing,
remember
right?
that.
This
Yeah,
dry
yeah.
January,
You so impressed me that I promised that I would not drink on the 30th of February.
of course. But it was interesting for me being out there in the world. It was something that I just did to see if I could do it and see how it was. First of all, it was extremely difficult. As somebody who enjoys alcohol a lot, it was very hard. The week one was a breeze, no problem. I got this covered. Week 2 was difficult. Week 3 was even more difficult. And then week 4 got a little bit better, but at the very end was like I couldn't wait. And what was interesting is when I'd go out to the bars or go out to these places, the cocktails were limited. There was not a section, of non-alcoholic drinks. But the more, I would say this, the higher class areas that I went to, the more expensive restaurants, they always had the ability to make virgin drinks, right? I could have a mojito and they would replace the rum with something else. But what I did notice, it was very sugary. It didn't really give the same um, burning effect, or what, I don't know what you want to call it, that same effect. But as I understand, Jordan, some of your products do have that sort of tinge of feeling to it. I guess is I tried your mocktail, the Moscow Mule variant. Tell us about that.
So we like to call it the social mule. We use the Three Spirits social elixir and ginger ale, and we do a little bit of orange on it, and it's really, really delicious. It does give you that little bit of burn when you drink it, and also it gives you that warm and fuzzy feeling. Actually, one of my friends had 3 of them and was like, "Oh my god, are you sure there's no alcohol in here? Like I'm feeling warm, I'm feeling fuzzy, I'm feeling like I want to talk to everybody in here." And I was like, "Girl, there's no alcohol in here. I can promise you." And that really opened her eyes because she also likes to drink alcohol as well, and it was a really big eye opener for her because she was like, "Oh my god, I didn't realize that like these could actually taste good and give you a similar feeling and really work to replace it." And so I thought that was really funny because she was the one that was like, "Are you sure it's going to be as good? I'm skeptical." And I was like, "If you don't like it, you can tell me you don't like it." And she loved it. She kept going back for more.
Well, now in the world of cocktails, there are mixologists, and there are actually mixology rules, and there are classes on mixology and bartender schools. This whole thing. Has your industry, this marketplace, developed to the point that there are some of these rules, or let me say, recipes that you start with to make better drinks, or is it still so infant that it's sort of up to people like you to do it?
I say in the middle, there definitely could be a lot more room, but I feel like some of these brands are making it to where they are in taste so similar that you can just swap it instead of being like, oh, instead of this brand of alcoholic gin, I'm going to use the non-alcoholic replacement, and you can swap it really well. But there definitely can and will be a lot more progress, but also it is a little more up to us to be able to create more of like the rules and guidelines for making these drinks, but there already is, I feel like, a little bit of foundation just because um, you can mimic some of the recipes. And, like the social mule is really close to a Moscow mule, but we kind of used that recipe as a base to be able to build it into our own.
Okay.
What would you say are your biggest roadblocks to growth? What's holding you back?
One, lack of awareness for the sober curious movement. I know on average 1 in 4 people know about it, but there's a lot more, and some people have a really strong hold with alcohol, and alcohol has a really strong hold on them. We've encountered people that are like, well, why don't you cater alcohol? You need to cater alcohol. And one, that just doesn't align with our brand. And two, it makes me wonder why they feel like they can't live life without alcohol. So that's my biggest question to other people is when they ask me, well, why don't you have alcohol? It's, well, why do you need alcohol so strongly? So being able to just show people, because it's so normalized, drinking is the most normalized drug. You can get it anywhere. And being able to show people what life is like without it, because a lot of people don't know what it's like what life is like without it. And being able to show them that all of the effects that they're, having, people will go home, have a drink, work was stressful, go home, have a drink to relax, but then they don't realize the next day your anxiety is worse. And so you're in this snowball effect of, okay, it's Monday, work was stressful, I'm gonna have a drink. Okay, Tuesday, I was so stressed out, I'm gonna have 2 drinks. Wednesday comes around, oh my God, I'm going out with the girls, let's have more drinks. And then Thursday, why do I feel like garbage? I'm gonna have a drink after work, relax. And it has that grip on them where they believe that's the only way that they can relax or like feel good. Um, So showing people that there are so many other ways to be able to relax, unwind, connect with people. Alcohol connects people so strongly. And so being able to help show people that they don't need a substance to be able to connect them with other people and that they can have genuine connection without it, I feel like will be, once we start opening people's eyes to that, it's going to be really, really game changing for people.
Earlier, I talked about targeting customers, and I'm kind of curious now on the demographic side. Do you see some targeted demographics by, say, age, race, background, um, income? I think you mentioned maybe possibly higher incomes. Do you see a demographic profile that's your best target at this time?
We haven't really found one quite yet, and we haven't found trends that really show that yet, just because um, I feel like there's still not enough research done on it. But we do notice that higher income people have it more accessible to be able to maybe get the help that they need to be able to then step into like the health conscious and the sober curious movement.
Okay. So I guess what I'm also trying to understand is we've got an aging population, and what's the difference between, say, people between 21 and 30 and people between 30 and 40, 40, 50, 50, 60? As you think about that, those age groups, what's the receptivity to what you're offering?
Older people go, well, I've drank this long, so I'm fine. But, by the time they were 70, they were on 5 different medications. So you have to define their level of fine versus what's actually fine. So I feel like I've seen a lot more pushback from older generations. Newer generations, they're a lot more receptive to it. Kind of in the middle between probably like 40 to 60 or like 30 to 50. People have heard of it. They are a little more curious, but they're like, well, I feel like they think it's more all or nothing versus like you can, let's say if you have 5 drinks a week, cutting back to 2 or 3, or maybe cutting to 1, using it for like special social occasions. They don't tend to push back the same, but you still get some of that, well, I'm fine. And they have anxiety through the roof and they don't realize the what's fine versus what's not fine.
All right. You have any questions for us?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I want to do something right here. Just a quick. Let's get Adam here to think about if we're looking at this market. We know that it's unknown to us. I mean, primarily. I mean, I have some familiarity with it. I think Adam, you're just learning about this. What would you say would be really good advice for Jordan and entrepreneurs like her going into this space for her to look at and then execute to become the most successful possible with her project here?
Well, the thing that has most struck me over this 20 minutes has been that this is the first time we've had an interview with anyone who was so fixated on their value proposition. As you know, most people get fixated on their value delivery system, and we have to talk to them for a while and say, well, what are you really doing for the customer here? Why should somebody buy from you? Every question I ask about the value delivery system, I get an answer about, well, here's what happens to the customer. This is the value of drinking my product. And so every answer came back to the value proposition. So I'm really struck by that. I'm really totally struck by that. I think where most people sort of say, I want to run a business and let me focus on the running of the business, you're very focused on what's the value to the customer and how do I give them that value. So that I think is fantastic and it's almost surrealistic. The second part was that I feel like right now your value delivery system is really an event management type of a value delivery system. You've got to find these events and go sell to them. And so in that vein, I'm starting to think about, well, unmet and poorly met needs. You've clearly identified that there's a poorly met need, an unmet need. And even though it's one I may not have noticed or spent much time with before, it's clearly, to me, it's there. You've demonstrated that with some statistics and some examples. I think I'd hone in on that a little bit more. Try to see could I find a demographic? Could I find some kind of a customer base? Because when you can identify the early adopters of your poorly met need, that's really important to like getting them into the product early and then building out from that. So I think you're right. I think trying to get somebody that's a boomer to say, "Oh, we're going to have a party without any alcohol," is probably a dead proposition, or a difficult proposition, right? Well, I mean, there'll be exceptions. There'll be people having somebody's 70th birthday, and then they say, "Oh, we're going to do this alcohol free because we want to try to have a great future." I mean, those will be exceptional items, I imagine. And you can't make a living trying to market your events to the exceptions. You want to market your events to people who say half or more than half the time. I like this idea. And so it's kind of looking into, it reminds me of looking 10 years ago at vegans and vegetarians. And people would kind of like, whoa, really? Those people really do that? There was this big kind of, I don't believe that really happens. Well, of course it was happening, and it was growing, and it was getting bigger. And the people who launched the plant-based meats, those people, the plant-based protein products, what they did was they spent a fair bit of time sitting around saying, well, who's going to buy this, right? What's the demographic and what's the profile that I could try to target to? And so as they developed a product on one side, they were really getting clear about who their target was on the other side. So you're working on the product development. You got some good products, it sounds like, the customers really like. And right now you're kind of still spam marketing. You're kind of like, anybody who wants to buy, I'm here. And that's okay. Wait for the phone to ring. That works, okay, just to an extent. But to really grow, you'd be like to be able to say, oh, you know what? Like you mentioned baby showers. This is kind of weird, but maybe you target baby showers with your marketing. Or you're trying to kind of find a few things, and you say, early on, this is my capacity. I want to sell 100% of my capacity. How's the lowest cost, fastest route to that 100%? And then as you fill that capacity, you say, well, I need to expand my capacity. I'll add some more bartender type people and whatever, and then you can keep expanding it. So I think that just a little bit more of the practicality of the value delivery system part, which I can't believe I'm saying this out loud on one of our podcasts, but I think that honestly, a little bit more of that sort of very traditional marketing focus might be the short step for the next 6 months. And then you can be in that position, like I said, in 6 months, keep expanding your capacity. But that's kind of my immediate read on it, Manny. I'm just I'm very impressed.
Those are great insights, Adam. I think that Jordan can use those in a very sort of tactical fashion to really hone in on her value delivery, which is, again, like you said, surrealistic to even talk about. So in the next minute here, Jordan, what is it you want our audience to know about you? How do they get a hold of you? Give us a little bit of information on how you can reach more people here on our podcast.
I just wanted to say thank you guys for having me on here. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at The Healing Lounge AZ. Our email is thehealingloungeaz@gmail.com. We're always open to networking with different companies or catering any types of events. And yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jordan. What about you, Adam? Any final words before we log off today?
I just want to say thank you, Jordan. Pleasure to meet you.
All right. Very good. Cheers.